Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, how do you iterate through an array elements in Java? Let me answer. In order to iterate through array elements in Java, we can use different loops. We can either use do while loop, we can also use while loop, we can use normal for loop with index, we can use for each loop without index. The best suitable loop for iterating through the elements in array in Java is for each loop, guys. Okay, this is the best loop that we can use out of all these loops for iterating through the elements. When it is not possible with for each loop, then only we go for the other loops like for loop. Okay, for loop is the simplest form anyhow when compared to the remaining loops. But if you want me to answer how do you iterate through an array in Java or array elements in Java, I'll simply say using for each loop, I'll say, because for each loop is mainly designed for arrays and collections frameworks. Okay. You can use for each loop with arrays and collections framework. Okay. So remaining loops we can use, but the important loop or the designed loop for iterating through the array elements or collections framework, array list, etc., is for each loop, guys. So I'm going to demonstrate this for each loop and show you how to use for each loop to iterate through an array elements or array in Java. Okay. For that, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE, and in Eclipse IDE, I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as 7 with main method, let's say. And inside this main method, I'm going to create an array. Okay. Integer array, AR is equal to, inside the curly braces, I'll provide the array elements. That is 9, 5, 7, let's say 8, 2, 4, 6, etc. Okay, these are the array elements. Now I want to iterate through all these array elements using the loops. Okay, using loops, using different loops in Java, we can iterate through the array or array elements. But the best loop or the designed loop for iterating through the array elements is for each loop, guys. Okay, for each loop is the appropriate or apt loop that we can use with arrays and collections. It's a designed for arrays and collections. Okay, you cannot use for each loop with other places, but for each loop is designed for arrays and collections. Okay, so I am going to use for each loop. So if you ask me how do you iterate, I'll say for each loop, using for each loop that I'm going to demonstrate. Okay, so I'll write the for, starting of the for loop and ending of the for loop. And here, each and every element of this array is starting with, okay, each and every element of this array individually is of int data type. So here, I should not be writing integer array. Rather, I have to write int because I have to see the data type of the individual array elements. Here, every array element have the data type as int. Okay, even though all the elements are stored into an array of integer array, individually, if you see the here array elements are of int data type. Okay, int. So AE, I'll say, you can give any name, AE, X, Y, Z, any you can give. And then you can give the array name. This is how we have to write the for each loop. Okay, this is array, and this is some, okay, temporary element. You can give any name. Okay, so, and here system.out.println, if I say AE, what will happen is all the array elements will be iterated with the help of this for each loop. Okay, we can iterate through the array elements or array. How do you iterate through array or array elements? Okay, in Java. Okay, so like this, what if I run this code, what will happen is the array will be created with these elements, and from this array, these are the elements we have. In that, the first element is 9 will be assigned here, and 9 will be printed. Okay, and again, it will go and check if there are any other elements in this array. Yes, these are the remaining elements in the array. In that first element, 5 will be taken and 5 will be printed. Again, in the remaining elements, any other elements left, these are the remaining elements. In that first element, 7 will be taken and 7 will be printed. And in the remaining elements, okay, 8 will be taken and assigned to this and 8 will be printed. In the remaining elements, 2 will be taken, 2 will be assigned and 2 will be printed. Remaining elements, 4 and 6 are there. In that 4 will be taken and 4 will be printed. In the remaining elements, 6 will be taken and 6 will be printed. And in the remaining elements, no other remaining elements are there, will come out of this for each loop. Now run the code and see that using for each loop, we can iterate through the arrays or array elements. You see all the elements of the array got printed starting from 9, 5, 7, 8, 2, 4, 6. Okay, everything got printed. Similarly, you can use do while loop, for loop, though for each loop is designed specially for arrays and collections framework. So we have used in this example to demonstrate how to iterate to the arrays or array elements using for each loop. But you can also use do while or for loop also. if in other cases, okay? But this is the main loop in Java for iterating through the array or array elements, okay? So with practical demonstration, I answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.